you are. You've been watching over me my whole life. I know you're there. Your shadow, it's been following me ever since I was small. Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Then come out.
Then you'll be afraid.
A movie like this and a lot of the fantasy films that I've worked on, Lord of the Rings and Pirates and different things, you know, a lot of them are shot on sound stages. A lot of them are shot in very controlled environments, and where the sound that we get back is either completely dead silent, or it has full of fans and special effects, smoke machines and things making a lot of noise, generators. So the first thing we need to do is to try and replace all those sounds and create the sounds that will help you believe that you're actually in this place. And we do that on a bunch of different levels. And in this movie, we have a lot of, we have sort of two distinct worlds. We have what we call the moors, which is where all the magical creatures live. And then there's the sort of area of the humans where the king lives. And we certainly wanted to keep them very separate, so that every time that we're in the moors, we hear a lot of magical sounds. The birds are very different and more exotic and interesting and things like that. Even things like wind can take on some tonal elements and sort of magical elements. The one sound recurring moment that we kind of refer to the original, of course, is the classic Maleficent laugh, the sort of deep, bellowing, evil laugh. That was a lot of work was done to sort of pay homage to the original film, for sure. Usually there's sort of two phases to working on like a big creature like the dragon in this movie. One is just making sure you have the right sounds. We know we need sounds that'll convey the size, but also as we watched the scene, we realized what are the emotions that the dragon is conveying at different times. During the course of the scene, he's angry and he's in pain and different things, and so it's kind of mapping out a roadmap to get you through the scene as well, so that it's not just a generic scream over and over and over again. The most important thing is that at the end of the day, people believe that that's the sound that creature will make. We had a lot of different kinds of creatures in this movie, from incredibly small little forest fairies that would kind of recur throughout the movie, popping up. One of the funnest were these characters called wallerbogs, which were these funny little mud-like creatures who basically lived to wallow in the mud and throw and play mud ball with each other. And they had to be very emotive on a sort of human scale, but they're also very animalistic. So that was a big challenge for us, trying to find the right sound.
Well, well.
When I'm trying to do the backgrounds for, say, an interior castle or something like that, the first thing I always try to do, or even an exterior scene, is I try to find the air. What's the general sense of the air and wind like? And that gives me a bed to sort of start filling in the rest of the pieces, because that sort of gives you a jumping off point. This is the noise floor of the scene, you know. Then it's about what can be happening off screen as well. Certainly if you're in a castle, it's not just about what's happening on screen, but how many people are walking off screen. And when you're outside, certainly it's not just birds, but wind through the trees rustling, and, you know, strategically placed atmospheric thunder and different things to help sell, again, emotions of scenes, things like that. One of the challenges in this movie was that there's a curse which is placed fairly early in the movie, and it recurs throughout the movie, and we had to develop a voice for that, a sort of treatment for the curse. And then sometimes the voice is speaking in intelligible words, and then sometimes it's just kind of whispering and doing very ethereal things. Certainly in the scenes where that curse was back, Atmos allowed us to move it across the top channels and around the sides in very specific locations and get some very nice movement through the theater, which we wouldn't have been able to do in any other format. One of the biggest challenges I think that we faced on the film was our main character Maleficent has these wings, and they're an integral part of the story. The wings had to have power, but they also had to have a lot of detail in it. Getting the sound of feathers is actually really, really hard. What you find is that the sound tends to be too papery or too leathery or too creaky or different things, and finding something that sounds like feathers but also sounds like big and has a lot of weight. So we spent a lot of time back and forth with the Foley team and with recording things ourselves and trying to build up the right sense of layers. So there was a lot of work spent trying to get that sound just right. And that went on all through the movie because the visual effects for that were being constantly refined right up until the very end. So that was a big challenge.